at Le Maison, their favorite upscale French restaurant in downtown Manhattan. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over the private dining room's mahogany table, where my parents had gathered the successful members of our family to celebrate my brother Marcus's latest promotion. I adjusted my simple black blazer, intentionally chosen to blend in rather than stand out, as I took my seat at the far end of the table. Mom had arranged the seating to keep me away from potential business connections. Not that it mattered. I already own most of their companies. Still working from home, Olivia? Mom's voice carried that perfect blend of concern and disappointment she'd mastered over the years. She adjusted her Cartier bracelet, making sure everyone noticed. You know, Marcus's firm has some entry-level positions. I took a small sip of water, hiding my smile. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket. Likely another update from my M&A team, but I let it wait. I'm comfortable with my current arrangement, I replied. Comfortable? Marcus snorted, cutting into his Wagyu beef. Is that what we're calling unemployment these days? Come on sis, you're 32. Time to join the real world. Dad cleared his throat, swirling his 1982 Bordeaux. Your brother's right. This tech consulting hobby of yours, it's not a real career. Marcus just made junior partner. Your cousin Patricia's medical practice is thriving. And what are you doing? Sitting at home with a laptop. I checked my phone discreetly as another notification came through. The merger negotiations were proceeding exactly as planned. Aunt Linda chimed in. Darling, we're just worried. Everyone else has made something of themselves. Even your younger sister Jessica is already on track to make VP at her bank. Speaking of banking, Jessica smirked from across the table, her new engagement ring catching the light. My fiancé's firm is always looking for administrative assistants. You know, to start somewhere. I smiled, taking another sip of water. My phone vibrated again. The board meeting would be starting in 30 minutes. Perfect timing. Thank you for the concern, I said calmly, but I'm quite satisfied with my work. Work? Marcus laughed. Come on, Olivia. Nobody even knows what you actually do. At least when you tried that startup thing 3 years ago, you had an office. Now you just, what? Sit at home in pajamas. I checked my Patek Philippe watch. A subtle $2 million piece that nobody at the table had noticed. The Bloomberg announcement would be going live in exactly 10 minutes. Mom followed my glance and misinterpreted it entirely. If you're worried about the time because you take the bus, she began, her voice dripping with pity, we can have Marcus's driver drop you. My phone lit up with an urgent message from my assistant. Ma'am, the board has unanimously approved the merger. $4.2 billion deal confirmed. Bloomberg running the story in 10. Shall I send the car? I typed a quick yes as Dad launched into his familiar lecture about responsibility and family legacy. The maitre d' approached our table, tablet in hand, his eyes wide as he looked at the breaking news alert. Excuse me, he said, interrupting Dad mid-sentence, but would anyone care to see the Bloomberg business headline? It's quite extraordinary. I stood up smoothly, gathering my blazer. Actually, I said, checking my watch again, I have a board meeting to attend. But please do share the headline. I think my family will find it interesting. The maitre d' turned his tablet toward the table as my town car pulled up outside. The headline read, Tech titan Olivia Anderson's Quantum Industries acquires rival in historic $4.2 billion merger. The tablet shook in the maitre d's hands as Dad tried to process the headline. His face went from red to white in seconds, wine dripping from his chin onto his custom Italian suit. There must be some mistake, Mom whispered, grabbing the tablet. Another Olivia Anderson. Actually, I said as my phone lit up with an incoming video call, I should take this. Please put it on speaker. I nodded to the maitre d', who connected the tablet to the room's audio system. Ms. Anderson, my CFO's voice filled the private dining room. The board is assembled and waiting. We've got the SEC filing confirmed, and the markets are responding extremely well to the merger announcement. Your net worth just crossed $12 billion with the stock surge. Marcus dropped his fork, the clatter echoing through the suddenly silent room. Jessica's perfectly manicured hand flew to her mouth. Excellent, I replied. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Has the Anderson Global Acquisition team arrived? Yes, ma'am. All 23 companies are represented. Dad's hands began to shake. Anderson Global was his business consortium, the source of our family's wealth. Or what they considered wealth. The companies he'd spent 40 years building were now just a small portion of my acquisition portfolio. 23 companies? Aunt Linda breathed. But that's everything the family owns. Not quite everything, I said, pulling up the documents on the tablet. Just the ones worth acquiring. Here's the breakdown. The screen filled with acquisition details. Anderson Shipping. Acquired 6 months ago through Shell Company. Anderson Properties. Silent acquisition last year. Anderson Tech Solutions. Bought through proxy firm. Anderson Medical Group. Patricia's pride and joy, acquired last week. Anderson Investment Banking. Jessica's employer ownership transfer completing tomorrow. This is impossible, Marcus stuttered. You don't. Where would you get that kind of money? Remember that hobby startup? I smiled. The one you all mocked 3 years ago? We developed quantum encryption algorithms. That failed company is now worth $40 billion. Today's merger just consolidated our market position. Mom's hand clutched her pearls. But you live in that tiny apartment. You take the bus. That tiny apartment is the penthouse of a building I own, I said as another notification lit up the tablet. And I don't take the bus. I own the transit company. It's called Market Research. The Bloomberg screen updated with my official statement. Quantum Industries CEO Olivia Anderson announces revolutionary merger, becoming youngest self-made female tech billionaire. The board's waiting, my CFO reminded me. Of course, I said, standing up. Oh, and Dad? About those entry-level positions Marcus mentioned. I smiled as my assistant entered the room, carrying a stack of documents. You'll find your new employment contracts there. After all, I could use experienced managers in my subsidiary companies. Subsidiary companies? Dad's voice cracked. Yes. You'll report to my VP of Legacy Operations. She's very good at managing family assets. The tablet flashed again with breaking news. Anderson Global Companies undergo surprise acquisition by Quantum Industries. Stock prices soar. I have a board meeting to attend, I said, straightening my blazer. Jessica, since you mentioned banking, you might want to check who owns controlling interest in your fiancé's firm. The paperwork should be finalizing right about now. Her phone buzzed. She read the message and slumped in her chair. Oh, and Mom. I paused at the door. About working from home. I actually work from the top floor of Anderson Tower. Well, Quantum Tower now. We just changed the signs. The maitre d' held the door as I stepped out, leaving my family staring at the contracts that would make them my employees. My CFO's voice echoed one last time. Ms. Anderson, the board is ready for your acquisition presentation. Behind me I heard Marcus whisper, our sister owns everything? The next morning, every major financial newspaper carried the story. Wall Street Journal's headline blazed, Tech's new queen, how Olivia Anderson built a $40 billion empire in silence. CNBC couldn't stop running segments about the stealth billionaire, who had orchestrated the decade's most brilliant corporate takeover. I sat in my actual office, a 4,000-square-foot suite at the top of the newly renamed Quantum Tower, watching the city wake up through floor-to-ceiling windows. The morning sun glinted off my collection of quiet achievements. Patents, encryption algorithms, and the server that had started it all. My assistant entered with the morning briefing. Your family is in the lobby, ma'am. All of them. Right on schedule, I smiled, checking my watch. How long have they been waiting? 2 hours. Your mother tried using her old building access code 6 times. I pulled up the lobby security feed. There they were, the entire Anderson clan, looking significantly less polished than last night. Dad's tie was crooked, Mom's hair slightly disheveled. Even Marcus had lost his usual smugness. Send them up, I said, but first bring in the morning paper. 5 minutes later they filed into my office. Their eyes darted around, taking in the space that made their mansions look modest. The wall of awards, the quantum computing lab visible through glass walls, and the digital display showing Quantum Industries' stock price climbing by the minute. Quite different from working in pajamas, isn't it? I gestured to the Italian leather seating area. Please sit. Olivia, Dad started, his voice lacking its usual authority. "We need to talk about these contracts." Of course. I pressed a button and holographic displays sprang to life, showing their company's performance metrics. "As you can see, most of your operations are running at 40% efficiency. My team has identified several areas for improvement." "But these terms," Marcus interjected, waving his contract. "We'd be working for you. Consider it a family reunion of sorts." I smiled. "You wanted me to get a real job, remember? Well, now I'm offering you real jobs." Mom stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Darling, we had no idea. All this time." "That was the point," I said, pulling up more data. "While you were focused on maintaining appearances, I was building something real. Every dismissive comment, every mockery of my hobby, it just gave me more freedom to work unnoticed." "But why keep it secret?" Jessica asked, her engagement ring notably absent. "Why let us think?" "Because, dear sister, you taught me something valuable. Underestimation is an advantage. While you were bragging about your banking job, I was buying your bank." My phone buzzed. The markets had opened. Our stock jumped another 20%. "Now," I continued, "you have two options. Option 1, sign the contracts. Work for me. Learn how to build something meaningful. Option 2, don't sign. Keep your pride. But understand your companies are already mine. Your positions are already changing. The only question is whether you want to be part of what comes next." Dad slumped in his chair. "You planned this all along." "No," I said softly. "I planned something much smaller. But success has a way of growing when you're not obsessed with showing it off." I pressed another button and the morning's headlines appeared on every screen. Asterisk, Anderson family companies now under Quantum Industries control. Asterisk, Tech's hidden heiress. The woman who built an empire in secret. Asterisk, Quantum Industries stock soars. Market cap exceeds $50 billion. "The contracts expire in an hour," I said, standing up. "I have another merger to attend to." "When, Mom?" "About that family dinner tradition. I'm hosting next month. In my building. Dress code is business professional. You'll all be on duty." They stared at the contracts, then at each other. Marcus was the first to reach for a pen. "One last thing," I added as I headed to my boardroom. "That bus company I mentioned? I bought it the day you mocked me for taking public transport. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's making them realize how wrong they were, one company at a time." The doors closed behind me as they sat there, signing away their pride to become employees in the empire they never knew I was building. In the boardroom, my CFO waited with a smile. "The Anderson family situation?" "Handled," I replied, taking my seat at the head of the table. "Now about that tech company in Silicon Valley." The screens lit up with our next target and I couldn't help